Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, October 4th, 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today with Dr. Elbers, and we are going to be showing you some incredible footage that I captured earlier today. This footage was captured on the cactus coronagraph, and you're going to be pretty amazed at what you see. You know, folks, we've gone so many years now, and people are still 100% disputing that there is a stellar core, an object that we refer to as Planet X, orbiting our sun, and possibly many, many more objects that have come in with this object that we call Planet X. And, you know, in my day-to-day investigations, my research, my observations, I go through a lot of material, folks. You know, my morning starts at 4 a.m. every single morning, and I go through everything thoroughly. And early this afternoon, I detected something that I've never seen before on this cactus coronagraph. Now, I've captured this object, but this time we have it literally orbiting the sun. And you're going to be absolutely amazed at this footage. Dr. Elbers, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Scott. And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, allergies are still getting to me a little bit. But it's fall season already.
Yes.
Some parts of the United States have snow. You know, that's another thing there, folks. The weather around the world is just absolutely insane, out of control. As I stated a few weeks ago, we were going to be looking at that 17-degree dip in the jet stream across the United States. And I do believe that has already occurred. There's been torrential, let me switch my screen over. There's been torrential flooding in Sicily, southern Italy. They even had a pretty big earthquake in the Calabria region. Earthquakes are still plentiful worldwide. If any of you are watching what's happening on Planet X News on Facebook, which I hope all of you would see I posted a picture today of the sun from the SDO in the 211 angstrom purple photo that all of you are pretty well used to seeing on the Facebook page. Massive, massive coronal hole facing the Earth. And we will probably feel the stream and the intensity from that coronal hole and that wind stream, that solar wind, probably 5 to 7 days, possibly even more as far as the seismic activity goes. But I'm going to go ahead real quick. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to pull up this video, and I have this all put together so we can watch this together. And Dr. Elbers, you want to go ahead and take over? You want to let people know what they're seeing here, because this is pretty intense. Folks, you're going to be concentrating. This is in slow motion. You're going to be concentrating right up in this area right here. Go ahead, Dr. Elbers, take over.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's an object that's moving tangentially, that it's moving past the sun, and it seems to grab a whole lot of material from the sun, a whole lot of plasma, which it then takes with it. I mean, we've seen the smaller objects have these gravitational vortices, which it's the connections they make with the sun. They even call them solar tornadoes, because that's basically what they are. But that's the object making this gravitational connection with the sun and drawing material from the sun. And this is a very large object, as you can see. And it seems to be, it was moving past the sun. It didn't seem to be coming directly from the sun, but moving past it. And as it passed, it just grabbed a whole lot of material. It's very, we've never seen anything like it. I mean, we've seen objects moving away from the sun with CME material. And I've talked about the fact that they seem to provoke the sun into having CMEs and solar flares. And but we've never actually seen an object go past the sun. It seems to be moving at quite a speed. and move past the sun and just grab some coronal plasma and take it with it. It's quite astounding what we're seeing here. And it's quite a large object. This object I would say would be about one-third to half the size of the sun. It's quite a large object. So this is amazing. We've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, whenever I first detected this, ladies and gentlemen, I was looking to see if there had been any coronal mass ejections. And at first view of the coronagraph, I thought to myself, wow, that looked like a CME. Now, what you're looking at here is a composite layover of the C2, C3 coronagraph. And this is how I detected it. So this was today. This was going from the end of the third into the fourth. And you could see the object. It's right here. Now, yeah. I thought that it was a coronal mass ejection.
Well, Cactus is saying that it is, Scott. So, but it could be that it's actually showing us how these coronal mass ejections occur. It could be that at least some of them are actually the objects grabbing a whole lot of coronal plasma from the sun and moving off with it.
Oh yeah, it pulled it right off of the sun. Now I think that's why the cactus detected it as a coronal mass ejection, because of the amount of visible material that came with it as it passed by. Yeah. I mean, we've seen this object pass within the corona of the sun before, but never have we seen it in this position and able to literally capture it as it's moving away from the sun. Mm-hmm. And you could see it right here in this still image. I just changed the color tone a little bit in that last image so we can pick it up more clearly. And I had to slow this down, folks, because in the original cactus image and the video, it goes so fast that all you see is this explosion, and it looks like it's coming directly out of the side of the sun. But whenever you slow it down, you can see that the explosion, the release of this energy from the sun, well, it wasn't a coronal mass ejection. It was this object passing by. It was literally coming from behind the sun, and it came directly through the corona, and it literally, like Dr. Elber said, it literally has pulled the corona with it. And what do you think, Dr. Albers? Ton of plasma pulled right off of the sun?
Yes, I think this is actually what this object is done. So this means this object is it's gravitationally quite strong to be able to do this. And also, don't forget, we've been taught a whole lot of physics which denies the presence of these objects. It could be that from the beginning, CMEs and solar flares, in fact, that the sun has CMEs and solar flares only because of the presence of these objects. Because these objects have been here for hundreds of years, and we didn't have the technology to properly study the sun for hundreds of years. We've had it for a couple of hundred years, but these objects were probably here already by the time we started observing what was going on with the sun. So it's quite possible that from the beginning, CMEs and solar flares occur because of these objects. But this has been hidden from us from the beginning. We are always taught physics around the fact that these objects are here. So maybe what we're seeing is the real cause of CMEs.
Well, I've had my suspicions about that for quite some time. We've talked about that now for, going all the way back to 2017. And, I was starting to reference to it in 2016 because I had my suspicions, but I didn't have any hardcore evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'll tell you, folks, I'm pretty overwhelmed. You know, I've been looking at this footage since about noon today is when I discovered this, and I was pretty thrown back at what I saw. And, you know, it took me a little while to get the video, you know, uploaded and slow the speed down. Now, putting this into slow motion was kind of tough because the Cactus coronagraph download, the actual video, is so many frames of still photographs put together, and then they speed it up. And it's so fast that you just see this big pop come out of the side of the sun. And that's how they upload the video. And it took me a while to slow it down so we can actually see this object. And it wasn't until I slowed this down that I noticed it. And what really got me going before I went to Cactus is, I'm going to stop this right here. I was looking, let me just go back just one little bit. I was looking at these overlay coronagraph images, and this is a infrared overlay of the C2 and C3 coronagraphs. And whenever I was looking at this, I said to myself, okay, wow, that looks like a CME, but I've never seen a CME look like that. And, you know, I have still photographs, and I'll show you, but I hope you could see on your screen, there are these kind of very rounded waves. It's almost like this stellar core object, it's wild as it pushes through the fabric of space and through the corona. It's like you can see its motion. It's hard for me to explain. Dr. Elbers, do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Well, it's pushing through a material because that is the sun's corona, and it's filled with material, or gaseous material, which is tied to the sun. So obviously the object is pushing material ahead of it as well as behind it.
That's what I was trying to explain. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is fascinating. And this also explains why we always find these objects within CMEs. Almost always we find them there because they're causing them. They pulling material from the sun and causing the CMEs.
Now, this is something real quick. This is, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to lose my train of thought here. This right here, folks, this is what really got me. Pay attention to what I'm showing you right here. Look at this. This looks like the tail of something streaming off of this object as it passed. Now, it came from the backside of the sun, and it's going this direction. Okay, it's on an elliptical orbit around our sun. I've been saying this now for a year and a half. Okay, we don't need fancy, sophisticated models to show us how this object, this main object, is orbiting our sun. This object is orbiting our sun in about the same orbital time, or excuse me, the same rotational time that the sun has. About every 27 to 28 days, this object loops around the sun. Not in a complete circle, but in an elliptical pattern. Because this is how we are finding it. This is an incredible, I mean, this blows the lid off of any debunker out there. Anybody that says that this object doesn't exist, well, how do you account for what we're seeing right now? And this footage isn't even 24 hours old. This was at the end of the day on October 3rd, leading into today. I mean, this is just literally, it almost has me a loss for words.
It's amazing.
I mean, what do you think, Dr. Elbers? Does I mean, here's a little bit of a better shot. You could see the object right here, and I have still photographs we're going to go over, folks, so I could zoom right into it. But these are part of the little video that I put together so we could show it all. You can see it right here. What also got my attention is when I thought this was a CME, till I examined it further, it seemed like the explosion went upward, like that, upward at an angle. Now, I've watched, I don't know how many CMEs over the years. I've never seen them at such acute angles like that. But I believe that was only caused by the actual angle of this object as it came around the sun. And it literally came right through the sun's corona, pulled the corona and the plasma right off of the sun. So I'm going to show you, we'll let this run out, and I'm going to show you, here, I'll stop it right there. I mean, you could see the object right there. It's illuminated on this side, just, I mean, probably from sheer heat. You can.
Well, these are stars, Scott, and they absorb material from the sun, and they absorb energy from the sun. And the energy absorption process itself allows them to emit light from the absorbed material. So this is why they emit light.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show you guys the actual. Now, this is the coronagraph, and this is the only way that we can view this LASCO, because they screwed up the whole public version of this back in late January of this year. We don't have the same access as we did, but I want you to start watching right here where my cursor is. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there because I'm going to use the slider, and I want you guys to pay attention to how this starts to form. Now, remember, folks, this big dark circle is not the sun. That's the occulter. The white circle is the sun. I want you to pay attention to the direction of where this object comes from, because it comes from way over here. It doesn't come from within here. It comes from out here. So I'm going to go ahead and move the slider slowly, and we'll see it start to happen. Now, do you see, folks? You see where it's starting to move through the sun's corona? Way over here, not right next to the sun. So if that was a coronal mass ejection, that would be coming directly from this inner white circle. This is the occulter right here. It's blocking the rays of the sun, so you can see these CMEs on these coronagraph and on these spacecraft that monitor the sun. But just watch this. I'll go slow. Now they cut it off right there. They cut it off on 2336 hours, and that's just a few minutes to midnight. They cut it off. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day, I'll be able to get the rest of this. But there you go. Watch. I'll just go back and forth with the slider, and you can see where it comes from. I mean, it doesn't even come from the sun.
Yeah, it does seem to come from behind, not.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I looked at this.
An angle that's more toward the camera than sideways.
Yeah, so once we get the rest of the footage, whenever this updates, we'll definitely be taking a look at it. And there you go. Let me just stop this one more time and bring this slider up. So we can't see the object in this coronagraph. But you can see there's a very, very large separation between this illumination, the occulter, and the white circle, which represents the sun. So this object was actually a good distance away from the sun, but close enough where it went right through the corona. That's just absolutely amazing. You know, and this is how I started noticing this, and I'm like, oh boy, that was definitely no type of CME. Now, here is the original footage. Oh, you know what? For some reason, this actually, whenever I downloaded this failed. Let me see if I could bring it up in another video player. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play in the that one video player. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to set this for, so it just keeps on playing. Oops, maybe I didn't. There we go. Now, as you can see, this is just how it looked in the very beginning whenever I started observing this. And like I said, the angle of this supposed CME, it just didn't look right to me. And I mean, of course, there are CMEs that do react like that. But like the reverberation that I saw in it, these like little arcing waves out in front of it, it just didn't look right. So I decided, okay, you know what, let me examine this a little more. Let me download this information. Let me put it in my video player. Let me slow it down. You know, let me magnify it. Let me zoom in. Let me do everything I can do to break this down. And then I started slowing it down. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it. And, you know, some of it was blurred. And I'm like, oh, no, don't do this to me. So this is not going to let me advance like I want to. Yeah, see these, I don't like some of these video players. Yeah, it won't let me move the slider. See, and that's how fast it goes, folks. So could you imagine, okay, you took a look at this, you'd say, oh, it was nothing more than a CME. No, no, no. Not what we had there. So that's the video that we just looked at. So I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. And we're going to move over to the actual screenshots. And the original screenshot. Yeah, I'm looking at it. And you can see the date right down there. That was today, just a few minutes after midnight.
Yes. And
this is as far as I could zoom in here. But this is when I started noticing something was there. And the angle, look at the angle right here as it moves up. It almost has a kind of a weird teardrop shape.
Yeah.
And then you could see it's like it's breaking the fabric of space. Pretty interesting.
Yes.
Here's a very close zoomed in picture. And you can see it right there. Right there. Crystal clear, baby. Perfect sphere. You can see the plasma as it's pulled off the sun. You can see this object breaking through the fabric of space. Pretty neat.
Well, it's moving through the outer corona. So, and there's a lot of material there. These objects leave a lot of dust and debris around. And so the outer corona is full of material that these objects have left. And yeah. So it moves through it and grabs some of it with it and takes some of it with it. But mainly it was grabbing the sun's plasma. That's what these objects do. They grab the sun's plasma. And then they gain their own atmosphere, which is made out of coronal plasma. And that's also why they look like part of the corona, because they emit the same light. Well, it's the same material. But we can see they're separate objects because of their shape. They have a spherical shape. And we've seen some of them that even have stripes. So we know they are separate spherical objects in the sun's corona.
What do you think this would look like, Dr. Albers, if you were, just let's play futuristic spaceman here. What do you think this would look like if you were actually out there in space in a spacecraft and you had a view of this?
Well, and they come in different forms. Some of them look like solid rocky objects because they basically cores of what was once a star or planet. But once they gain an atmosphere, then they will look like they have a cloud around them. And they emit light from this cloud. And we know they emit bright colors because we see these colors illuminating our atmosphere, like the pink and the peach and bright red, even blue, because we've seen them in our clouds. So we know that's the colors that these objects emit. And they emit this light because of the absorption process. They are absorbing gravitational energy. And when that happens, there's ionization of the material and light emission. So this is why they emit light. In this case, they would look a lot like the sun. So they would probably look white if they have coronal plasma around them. But we do have those that are basically rocky objects before they manage to gain their atmosphere. A spherical, dark, rocky object in space would look like a huge moon, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back here and I'm looking at this picture. Folks, I sat here for about 1 hour straight. And I have a pretty big flat screen monitor. And I just kicked back and I looked at this object and I said to myself, over the years, we've made some pretty big discoveries here on this channel. This one here, I'll tell you, this one here is up in the top 5, maybe even the top 3. To see it, bursting from around the sun, literally, in video. And pulling plasma directly off the sun because it came so close. And then we keep wondering, where do these coronal holes come from? It always seems that they come from behind the sun, from the left side as they rotate right into Earth's path. I mean, we've been seeing this constantly, nonstop now for over 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was just incredible. You see if I don't have any more on that side. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. I want to pull up. This is the coronagraph right here. And this is the LASCO C2 and the LASCO C3.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I was looking at this is how I started, right here. And I said to myself, oh my, I didn't hear about any coronal mass ejection. I was looking at this stuff very, very early in the morning, 4 a.m. I didn't see anything. So I started zooming into the photograph. And lo and behold, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a perfect round circle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that, Dr. Albers, on your end?
I can see that, definitely.
Perfectly round little circle right there. And I mean, that is perfectly spherical. And when I zoomed into this, I said, my God, that just doesn't look like a normal CME. And that's what started me on my little investigation this afternoon. And lo and behold, at the latter end of that little investigation, you saw what we have uncovered. Dr. Albers, in your opinion, do you think that this footage here today, do you think this literally blows the doors off of our theory? Do you think this literally blows the doors off of, yes, we have definitive, absolute, crystal clear, 100% proof that this object exists, it's orbiting the sun, it is creating damage to our star? Do you think this blows the doors right off of this whole Planet X theory?
No, I mean, we have irrefutable evidence. This is only a little bit more of the puzzle, perhaps. But I mean, we have hundreds of photographs that show these objects in the sun's corona. So this is just another piece of the puzzle. It looks like we already knew that they seem to be causing the CMEs. This just strengthens our understanding of what's going on, that maybe CMEs don't occur at all unless one of these objects is close to the sun. And so it's actually, you know, it's dramatic because of that. Anything that we can get that builds onto the puzzle that we've been building about what's happening in the solar system. And it seems that these objects are responsible for a lot of things that are happening with the sun and on Earth. So it's amazing. It's dramatic.
Yeah, it definitely is. I just took a screenshot of what we were looking at before, and I want to see if I could, you know, bring that that circle out a little bit more that was in the middle. And looks like it's definitely coming in. It gets a little pixelized, but and you know, and that was a very, very far away shot. You could see it; it's perfectly round right there. I'm going to try to just bring it in a little bit more. Not doing too good. Yeah, we'll just keep it at that. If I don't zoom in too hard on it, it won't pixelize. I haven't converted this photograph to a high definition yet. But yeah, you can see it. It's perfectly round. And this was a very, very far away photograph. And I was just, you know, kind of curious. I'm like, what is that? That is a perfectly round sphere. I was a little suspicious about this lighter object here. But as I watched the video later on, that was just a massive amount of heat and light on that side in front of the object as it pushed through the corona. And you could see it's illuminated on this side, illuminated on this side, just literally pushing and pulling plasma right off of the sun as it passed through the sun's corona. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think they could be groups of objects as well moving together. They sometimes seem to arrive in groups. I've seen that, not the objects themselves, but by the cutoff lines that NASA adds to the image, that, you know, they would use 2 or 3 at a time, which would mean that there would be 2 or 3 objects at the same time going directly into the sun's corona, almost touching the surface of the sun. And they were cutting off parts of the image so we wouldn't see those objects.
Yeah. Now, real quick, folks, I'm going to break away from that because earlier today, Mr. MBB333, he showed an absolutely incredible photograph on his YouTube channel this afternoon. And you guys have to go over to his channel, Mr. MBB333. I'm sure all of you know who he is. He is a fantastic watchman, a fantastic truther, and he's always coming up with fantastic evidence. Today, one of his subscribers sent in a photograph from South Carolina. And this was the photograph that she sent in. Take a look at that. A perfect triangle up in the cloud. Another triangular figure right there. Okay, now, it doesn't look like much. Okay, doesn't look like much. Let's go through the photographs. Now this one's inverted. Here's that triangular figure right in the clouds. Really, really weird, man.
It does.
Really
it looks
weird.
like a spaceship.
Yeah, there's the triangle. Perfect,
Some
man.
kind of craft, triangular craft, doesn't it?
Yeah, here's a more blown up picture of it. And then seems to be something circular inside of the cloud. I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, he didn't exactly say what it was. I want you guys to check his video out, man, because, you know, it's just really, really wild looking, the things that we're seeing in the skies. But, you know, it caught my eye. I watch all of his videos. He comes up with some fantastic evidence of just crazy things going on in the skies above. I took this photograph. I did convert this photograph into ultra high definition. And we could take a look, man. There's perfect 90-degree, up, down, down. And then you can see this kind of weird triangular thing up in that cloud, man. I mean, I don't know what it is. Spacecraft, whatever. You know, this was another higher definition to bring it all out. And you could even see this complete straight line here. Completely. I mean, you could put a ruler on that, a ruler on there, there. I mean, what's happening? I mean, what is truly happening, man, in the skies? This is another high definition photograph that I converted over to HD. And, you know, I'm gonna email these higher definition photographs over to him, and maybe he could do a follow-up video and I don't know, you know, keep theorizing. What in the hell is that? What would create those types of 90-degree angles, man? Tell you what, Mr. MBB, he comes up with some incredible proof of really crazy anomalies in the skies, man. Here's another better high definition photograph. I broke it down. I stacked these photographs, and look, here's a 90-degree angle right there. Look at that straight line there. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, that's really weird.
Well, it's certainly not normal.
Yeah, I would say so.
We're not supposed to get straight lines in the sky. That tells you it's not natural, that there's something else going on.
Yeah, now check this out, folks. Let me get this up in the screen here. This photograph, don't laugh at me, but this photograph was taken by a NASA photographer who just happens to live in South Carolina. He took this photograph just after Hurricane Florence moved over North and South Carolina. He took this photograph right after Hurricane Florence moved over the Carolinas. Absolutely incredible. I mean, this looks like some kind of crazy reverberation of light, possibly sound. I mean, this made its way into several articles. I put up an article about it.
It looks like a diffraction pattern to me. You have first order is the one that's closest to us, the largest one. You have zeroth order, first order. You see the rainbows decrease in size. That's characteristic of a diffraction pattern. So yeah, very interesting. It could be, if there was one, I would say it's refraction, that it's because of a lens there. But this kind of thing with several of them and each one smaller than the other and fainter than the other, that looks like diffraction. And yeah, it's very interesting that these things are appearing in our sky, but it means it's an interference pattern. They're using interference to create patterns in the sky.
Yeah, that's just an amazing, amazing photograph. And yeah, there's been so much going on. Yeah, there's just been so much going on. Real quick, I'm going to jump over here real quick and we'll pull up our website real quick. Hey, listen, folks, if you guys do not check out Planet X News, our website, it's www.planetxnews.org. And today, you know, I was on a frenzy. I put up about I think about 12 articles, amazing information that came out here today on Planet X News on our website. Check this out. I don't know if any of you guys are following this, but early this morning, we had the 12th asteroid fly by Earth, okay? The 12th. Then, hours later, the 13th. So, in the past 28 days, we have had 13 asteroids fly past Earth. This one, the 13th asteroid, came within 0.51 lunar distances. That's equivalent to roughly 120,000 miles. Okay, folks, where the hell are they coming from? Once again, we saw this in 2016. We saw it in 2017. And now we're seeing more of it in 2018. One day, the Earth's luck is going to run out just based on the pure laws of probability.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's on average about 1 every 2 days.
Yeah. And this, again, you know, this one came out of nowhere. And boom, you know, they detected it at the last minute. Now, in this article, here's a graph of asteroids within 1 lunar distance. That's the distance between the Earth and the Moon, roughly 238,000 miles. You could see in January, we had 9 of them. February, we had 9. March, we had 7. April, we had 6. May and June and July and August were relatively calm. Only 3 and 2, 2, 2. September, look at that. September, we had 13. 13. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but don't forget that the debris that these objects are creating in the inner solar system, because they lose their old outer layers, and that means the surfaces are breaking up into pieces. There's a lot of dust, a lot of objects of different sizes, and as this material gains energy, it gains the ability to interact gravitationally, and so they basically turn into asteroids, and that's why there are so many, and there are more and more of them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, earlier this morning, I posted the article here on planetxnews.org, and this was the article of the 12th asteroid in 28 days. I mean, wow, here it is, right there. And you can see, I'll pull this up even closer. You can see how close it passes the Earth. Look at this right here. Woo! That was close. I'll back that up and we can see it again. There it is right there. You can follow it. One more time. There's Earth. There's 2018 TC. Boom. That is a close call, man. I don't care.
So you said half a lunar distance.
Yeah. Well, this
That's
one
about
was
13 radii of the.
This one here was 0.79. The other one was 0.5.
Oh, okay, 0.79.
Yeah, yeah. That's when I was discussing that with you earlier today.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So I said one of them was 0.5. The other one was 0.79. Here was the article. If you guys want to read up on this, man, and you can share the articles, just click right there. You can get the link to it. You can share it to Facebook, Twitter. You could email it to somebody, and you could say, hey, man, check this out. But this was the story earlier today. NASA photographer captures a stunning image of a rare hall of rainbows, they called it. The phenomenon appeared after Hurricane Florence passed over New Jersey last month. Oh, this said South Carolina. I'm sorry. I got that mixed up. This came over. This was photographed from New Jersey, not South Carolina. Sorry. But that was an amazing picture. I've never seen anything like that. That's pretty wild looking.
Amazing.
Yeah, folks, all of these articles, about a dozen articles I posted here today on our website. Just amazing information. This was another very strange article that came out in a science periodical. Strange Milky Way star system emitting gamma rays from an exotic object. I like how the wording goes, but it talks about this star system, SS433. And they're eyeballing this, man. They've got the deep space telescopes, and they're looking at these other objects way deep in the galaxy. And this one is an X-ray of GR5 1915. And this is another, you have to read through this because this is a very long article that I posted here. This is dead scientific information. And this kind of blew my mind because this article on that crazy situation in our Milky Way, that led me to looking at another article, which is right here.
Yeah, but that article is very interesting, but it always draws attention away from what's happening in our solar system. Because, for example, it is now known that lightning, whenever there's lightning on Earth, gamma rays are emitted. So there are gamma rays that are being emitted in our own atmosphere. And yet we make a big thing out of gamma rays being emitted out there in our galaxy. But they don't look at what's happening in our solar system. So we end up not understanding the universe, not understanding why gamma rays are being emitted out there, because we won't look at the real physics that's occurring in our solar system.
I agree. Remember, folks, the last time we had a live stream, I told all of you, watch very carefully what NASA is doing. Watch very carefully what the European Space Agency is doing. And whenever they do post public information, read it, pay attention to it, scrutinize it, pick it apart. This was a newly released article that came out from the European Space Agency. Their Gaia mission. It reveals stars flying between galaxies. Okay. And this goes back to a few months ago and a few weeks ago of me talking about hypervelocity planets, hypervelocity stars moving through our galaxy. Now they're starting to talk about this even more. So here is a pretty in-depth article, and it tells you exactly what they were looking at and what they're finding. I mean, it's amazing that where we are at, traveling through our galaxy, our little teeny tiny solar system is moving through this galaxy, and now we're encountering all kinds of things. So like I've said before, if you think for 1 minute that our little tiny solar system does not have the opportunity to encounter other stellar bodies within our Milky Way galaxy, man, you got your head in the sand. These objects are flying all over the place at hypervelocity speed, millions of miles like per second. Some of them are moving from the outside of our galaxy inward, and some are moving from the inside of our galaxy outward. Not only are these hypervelocity stars, but these are also hypervelocity planets and very, very large rocky bodies that are, I guess, maybe a cross between a planet and a star. But all of these articles, folks, these are all available right here, man, on planetxnews.org. The link to our website is in the description box under every single one of our videos. And I do share all of these articles every single day on Planet X News right there on Facebook. This was another article that really piqued my interest. And I did not change the title of this, okay? The article came from a highly respected physics periodical. Scientists find dwarf planet that points to unknown planet X. Now, I did not change anything in this article. Nothing. This is amazing. They call it the Goblin. I think it was because when they found this, it was, I think it was Halloween or close to Halloween, October of 2015. They started to observe it just today or yesterday. Just yesterday, they decided to release the information. And this came from a team led by Scott Shepard of the Carnegie Institute for Science in Washington, D.C. He spent 3 years tracking this dwarf planet.
Yeah, and this object has an extreme orbit. I think it's called one of the extreme Neptunian, trans-Neptunian objects. And
40,000 years.
Yeah, it goes out to 1,000 AU from the sun, and its perihelion position is about 65 AU. So I read the paper on this object. So it's very out there. It's very, very far from the inner planets. Let's put it this way. Neptune has an orbital radius of 30 AU. This object has a perihelion position of 65. So that's more than twice as far as Neptune goes. So but like I said before, they like to look as far as possible from the solar system. And because that's safe, that way we don't have to cross paths with the stellar cores that are around the sun. But it is interesting. I think I'll probably write an article about it sometime.
Yeah, it was very interesting, very informative. But my point is,
the planet X they're referring to here is the mystical planet that's in the outer edges of the solar system, and it's not the planet X that we talk about, which is a planet X that is very close to the sun, that is affecting the sun, that is affecting our planet. It's very, very close to us, not out there.
I think a lot of these articles that are now coming out, and I subscribe to a lot of science and astronomy periodicals, websites, papers, things of that nature, because I really want to know what's going on. And I read all of them. And again, this article was just coming out. Scientists think they've found a moon orbiting a world outside of the solar system. Folks, I think that, when we see articles like this that are brand new and just coming out, I mean, to me, these are like hints. They are hinting around to what they probably are finding within our own solar system.
Yeah, that's true, because don't forget, I have written many times about the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are in fact stars. So the moons that are orbiting Jupiter and Saturn are in a way not actually moons, but planets.
Yeah, Jupiter has a lot.
This isn't the same thing, because they are finding the moons that are orbiting these large planets, which they would call gas giant planets, which are most likely small stars as well, because that's what we have in our solar system. And so what they have now is basically small stars orbiting larger stars. And these small stars have these objects, rocky planets that are orbiting them, and then they may have an atmosphere that may support life. Yes, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, this is another article that was very intriguing once again. And this is coming out of Naples, Florida. And I don't know if any of you know that massive amounts of fish kill all along the Florida coast, from the east coast to the west coast. The heading, welcome to Florida. The ocean is brown, the crabs are dead, and the smell is unbearable. This is happening right now in Naples, and one of our lead members from the MFA Media Group, his name's Bill. He lives in Naples. I want to give a big shout out to Bill. Fantastic guy. And we've been talking a lot about what's been happening in his neck of the woods down there in Naples, and the people are saying the stench is just absolutely unbearable. The intercoastal waterways just completely full, as you see here from someone's dock, just completely full of dead fish.
Yeah, this is just not normal, Scott. This is happening more and more around the world.
Yes.
And this shows that there's something cataclysmic starting to happen to our planet. We have been getting mass die-offs of animals and fish for years now, and it's only getting worse.
Yes,
so it looks,
they're blaming this on this red tide.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I lived in Miami for 22 years. We've had similar situations, but not as bad as this. And excuse me. This has been going on for quite some time now, and it is peaking, man. It is at its worst. So I lived in North Miami Beach, and I lived right on the intercoastal waterway, directly across the street from the ocean. And I decided to give a friend of mine a call who still lives in Sunny Isles Beach, right there along the ocean. And we had a long conversation this morning, and she told me her condominium sits right on the intercoastal waterway, right where mine sat, and you have a direct view of the ocean right across the street. The intercoastal waterway is pretty wide in some sections, leading from Dade County through Broward County, Fort Lauderdale. She said, Scott, the smell is so atrocious. It is so disgusting. So, folks, this has not only happened on the west coast of Florida, it's happening on the east coast of Florida, all the way from the Keys all the way up to West Palm Beach. Okay, that's quite a distance for this so-called red tide. It has infiltrated itself all the way into the intercoastal waterways, and that water is what they call brackish water. It's a combination of fresh water and salt water. And all the fish are dead. They're just floating on top. The smell is absolutely insane. The people are just like gagging when they go outside. If there is no breeze and the air is stagnant, well, you better get a clothespin for your nose.
Wow.
That much is sure. But listen, folks, I would definitely make sure you guys are coming to the planetxnews.org website every day. There are tons of articles. I always post them on my public figure page, my personal page, and the Planet X News Facebook pages. These articles are always up on there. Please, do us all a favor. Do everybody else a favor. Click over here and share these articles. You can share them directly from Facebook. You can come here to the website. You could also share them. You have links for our YouTube channels, Planet X News, Dr. Elbers. You have links to our books, our online stores. If you'd like to, pick up some of our t-shirts, to become an advocate of chemtrailing. And, well, look, just the other day, again, me and Dr. Elbers were out in a grocery store, and some guy just said, "Hey, man, I really like your shirt." And, once again, I had one of my chemtrailing shirts on, and he gave me a big thumbs up because I'm a walking billboard. And that's what it's all about, folks. And you would be surprised at how many other people are looking up, but they don't say anything. It's like having a sighting of Bigfoot, and you're embarrassed to tell anybody because somebody will think you're cuckoo, but there are people looking up. There are people seeing very strange abnormalities in the sky. I'm not just the only one, okay? There are millions of people around the world seeing this. We also have links to our up-to-date earthquake map and the USGS. There's also weather. You can get instantaneous access to the SDO Solar Dynamics Observatory and also the Core 2. Now, if you click right here on this subscribe button, you just put in your email address and click on get email notifications. And this will, every time I post an article, this will show up in your email. Or the easiest thing, folks, just simply bookmark the website and check it out. Check it out maybe once or twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever you guys feel necessary. I'm going to go ahead and take the link. I'll put it in the description box or the chat box. There you go. Boy, that live chat's moving pretty fast there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Yeah, folks, there's a lot of things going on, man. I mean, really crazy stuff. I'm going to go ahead and bring up this video again real quick. In 1 second. I'll bring that up one more time. So there we have it, folks. Once again, an incredible capture proving once again that, people call Dr. Elbers and I liars and criminals. I don't see how you are classified as a criminal for showing the world population what we are discovering and proving not only our theories are crystal clear, but the evidence is crystal clear.
Yeah, Scott, but these are the words of people who are afraid of the truth. And that's why they attack people who are telling the truth, because they're afraid or they work for someone who is terrified of the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they must be terrified of the truth because, every time we show incredible evidence, they go on the attack. And when you're attacking the truth, that just makes you look really bad. Because the truth is out there, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we're striving for. We already know that these objects exist. We already know that they are doing damage to the sun. You have already seen the extreme changes here on Earth. And these changes are going to get worse as time goes on. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, we are truly living in some amazing times. And, you know, each and every day, I think to myself, wow, I never thought at any point in my lifetime that this is how the latter part of my life would be turning out. I just never thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last several years, I think more and more about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think any of us were planning on doing this, Scott.
Yeah, I guess you're definitely in that category, huh?
No, yeah, I also wasn't planning on any of this. I had no idea that I was going to end up doing this, but you know, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to tell the world the truth. I don't see any other physicists out there doing the same. So I don't see anybody talking about these objects that are interacting with the sun.
Well, they're definitely afraid to. I mean, it's you know, it's suicide for your career, and you know, you could attest to that. You know, folks, for any of you that don't know, and that you may be newcomers here to Planet X News, but you know, Dr. Elbers was a highly respected professor of physics at a university in South Africa for 17 years. And whenever she started to privately make observations and write reports on what she was seeing, all of a sudden, the trolling operations came out of nowhere, and they were the direct cause of her being suspended from the university and then later forced into retirement after 17 years. And Dr. Elbers, I mean, I remember once before you mentioned to me that you wanted to go on and teach for at least 10 more years.
Oh, yes. I really enjoyed my lecturing career. I enjoyed teaching students. I loved my work, but they made it impossible for me from the time that I started researching this. And so they must have known that I was up to something already, even before the trolls contacted the university, because they made my life impossible. They took away my course from me. I worked on this course for 10 years, and I was coordinator, and it was a very, very popular course. And I had more and more students every year. And eventually they said I had to lecture, but I wasn't going to be coordinated. They changed the textbook. They forced me to change the way I was lecturing. And I couldn't stand the textbook they gave me. It was an Eric Mazur textbook. I couldn't stand it. And basically they made my life impossible. And I was very, very unhappy at the time. And that's when the trolls, you know, did the final thing. And they emailed all my colleagues, the head of school, the dean of the faculty, the vice chancellor of the university even. And, you know, they complained about me. And eventually I was called in and I was placed under investigation. And I was told that I might get fired, basically. So I was treated very badly, and I got to the point I couldn't take it anymore. Just too much.
Yeah, you know, folks, they even went as far as to spread rumors that Dr. Elbers was impersonating herself.
Yes.
You know, these.
Yeah, and I get questions all the time. You know, someone today asked me, what was the subject of my PhD? So I could answer that one. But as far as I'm concerned, if people want to check whether I was at the university or not, they can look me up. It's still on the internet. I was at the University of the Witwatersrand. So I'm still out there with whatever papers I have published, and mainly I was doing research in science education, even though my PhD is in theoretical particle physics. My PhD is still out there. If people really want to find out what I did, it's still on the internet. So I don't usually answer questions like that. I think it's futile.
Yeah, well, Dr. Elbers, I mean, just for some of the newcomers here, can you real quick list your credentials? How many master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, your doctorate? Can you just give us a brief rundown of your education?
Okay, I have, in South Africa, we use the British system. So I have a BSc honors, a master's degree in theoretical physics, a PhD in theoretical particle physics, and then I have an additional master's in science education.
And when did you start studying astronomy? Because I know a lot of these ignorant people, they say that you know absolutely nothing about astronomy, but as a young girl, you were fascinated with astronomy. You built your own telescope at the age of what, 12?
No, I think I was actually 9 when I did that. I got a book when I was about 6 on astronomy, and I loved it. I would read this book so often. My mom bought it for me, and it said there that if you wanted to, I decided I wanted to do astronomy right then. And it said on the book that if you wanted to do astronomy, you had to go to university and study physics and mathematics. So I decided that's what I was going to do as a 6-year-old. And then by the time I was 9, I got my mom to buy me some lenses, and I built myself a little telescope. Yeah.
So, I mean, is it safe to say that over the years and over your course of study that you can classify yourself as an amateur astronomer, like some of these debunkers, they classify themselves as amateur astronomers? Some of them have a PhD, but it's nothing near any science-related topic. Like,
well, I wouldn't call myself an amateur astronomer. I'm still a physicist. Astronomers are trained in physics, first of all. They get additional training in astronomy. I have taught a little basic course in astronomy. I don't have full training as an astronomer. I did a master's. Well, it was an honors course in astrophysics and cosmology. So I have training in that. I never did research work in astronomy.
Until now.
Yes, that's true. But from the time I was in first year, I was so interested in astronomy. I read a lot on cosmology and astrophysics from the time I was in first year. Those were the books that I was taking out of the library to take home and read. Out of the library at the university. So I've read a lot on it. Let's put it that way. I have a bit of training on it. I cannot say I'm an astronomer or even an amateur astronomer, but I have training. And most of all, what is the most important thing, training that a physicist goes through, is the ability to think. It's not so much about what you know, because we can always look up the facts. It's the training is how you think, how you apply logic, how you learn how to deduce and solve problems, starting from some premise and using observational evidence, which then leads you to a theory. This is the basic training of a physicist, which astronomers also get. And that is the most important thing that physicists and astronomers have, the ability to put facts and observation together and build a theory.
And that's what science is all about.
It is. Unfortunately, they've changed it so that now they believe that they know everything that there is to know about the universe. So any observation that does not agree with theory is thrown out. And that has turned physics and astronomy on its head, so that it's now mainly meaningless because of that, because they're not looking at the real universe. They are looking for the universe of their own imagination.
Exactly. You know, folks, just before Dr. Elbers left South Africa for good, and that was on June 29th of 2017, she was on her way here to the United States for good, but she was invited to speak not once, but twice at the leading physics convention. And where was that, Dr. Elbers, in South Africa? That was what that to be held?
Yeah, I don't even remember where that one was supposed to be. If it was
It wasn't
Durban.
not too far out of Johannesburg, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the University of the Witwatersrand is in Johannesburg, but usually those conferences are in different cities around South Africa, in different city every year. I cannot even remember where it was going to be that time. It may have been Durban. I'm not sure.
I think Durban was it.
Yeah.
The point that I'm getting at, folks, is this leading physics conference. Dr. Elbers was set to speak on two abstracts, two papers that she had submitted, and she was invited to discuss both of these papers that she had submitted to the board.
Yeah.
And this was to occur on July 4th. But under the circumstances, you know, for some security reasons, we had to get Dr. Elbers out of South Africa as fast as possible. So there were some security concerns leading to the days of that physics conference, because it was over a course of several days.
Yeah, well, I submitted the abstracts, never even thinking that they would accept them. They were accepted, so I knew that mainstream physics does not really want to hear the truth about these subjects. This is why I decided to do it anonymously. Now, one of the things that my head of school was upset about was about the fact that basically I was writing articles. And of course, the university was basically doing research, and the university was not getting any money for it, because that's what it's all about in the end. And that is, the universities get money for the research articles that the lecturers write. Of course, the lecturers don't see the money. They do get research grants based on their research, but they don't get rewarded really for their research. It goes to the university. And I think he was upset. One of the things he was upset about was that I was doing research anonymously and writing papers, basically. The university was not getting any money out of it. So he said to me, well, you know, if you want to do research, you better do it through the correct channel. So I thought, oh, well, I'll submit the abstracts. And I also sent something to an observatory saying that I had discovered a brown dwarf in the solar system. It makes me laugh now, because I should have known that they would never, you know, even consider that. They probably know what's going on, but they would be terrified of something like that.
Well, Dr. Elbers, you know, I want to ask you one question real quick, because, you know, folks, in science, they go by this peer review system, which is pretty much nothing but a complete farce. And we have several of these leading troll operations that really get on Dr. Elbers' back, because all of the papers that she writes daily and her research, none of it is this quote peer reviewed. Now, this one individual that used to work with us, he has absolutely gone completely mad, mentally insane, and Mr. Twatter, and that's all he talks about. He calls Dr. Elbers all kinds of names. He says that she is mentally ill, and none of her papers or research is peer reviewed, so therefore it's complete BS. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we don't need the peer review system, because what you're looking at right here in front of you live on the Planet X News YouTube channel, I mean, you folks You are our peers. We respect your opinions more than we would respect some other scientists that are bought by the system. Just like the politicians that you see on TV every single day here in the United States of America and other countries. You are bought. Bought and paid for, man.
Yeah, I mean, the peer review system is basically there to stop the truth from getting into mainstream physics. That's what it's all about. So there's no way any of my papers would ever pass any peer review system. They would do a lot worse to it than they did to Alton Arp's work. He's now dead, but he was blocked from publishing all his work because it falsified the Big Bang model. I mean, it's all written up in his book, Seeing Red. He writes about it, how he was blocked from even having time at the telescopes, how whatever project he proposed was blocked from getting time. So this is what occurred. That's what the peer review system is. And poor Chris, I mean, I don't even listen to his videos. I don't even bother because I know he basically is scared of the truth. That's all.
He's mentally insane. Oh, he's mentally insane. This is the crackpot that called the FBI on me and Dr. Elbers back in what was that, Dr. Elbers, back in June or July?
Oh, I think it was May.
No, it was when did the FBI come banging at the door?
1st of June, I think.
Yeah, June 1st.
Yeah.
And he called the FBI and he made up all these stories. And sure enough, 2 FBI agents showed up at my front door, and it was a pretty ugly scene. And they were welcomed into our house, and we sat down with them and several other police officers. And their suggestion to Dr. Elbers and I that we get off of YouTube and we stop writing books. And I asked, what do you know about our books? And he said, well, let's just put it this way. You and Dr. Elbers are really pissing some people off at NASA and the European Space Agency. And we've read your last 2 books, and we've watched a lot of your YouTube videos. And I said, well, what do you think about that? And he said, well, the information is very, very interesting. I have never really been into science like that, but it was very interesting. So those were the only words that they uttered, and they went on their merry way. The fact of the matter is, folks, you're always going to have an opposition out there, and a lot of these people are afraid of the information. They are afraid of the truth. And, some of them may possibly have some very serious mental defects, some very serious personality defects, because, Chris he has threatened Dr. Elbers. He has trolled Dr. Elbers. He has tried to defame and slander her. And so have a lot of others. And now, this other nutbag over at the Higher Truth channel is calling her a criminal because she doesn't warn people about this solar irradiance. But, folks, we've already talked about that. And we have warned people for years now about staying out of the sun. I mean, how many times have you guys remembered me talking about the ultraviolet radiation? Stay out of the sun. If you have to be out in the sun, protect yourself. Wear long sleeve clothing, wear a hat, protect your eyes. I mean, what more does this other nutbag at the Higher Truth channel want but to refer to Dr. Elbers and I as criminals, and we will be brought to justice? Well, what are the charges going to be, asshole? I mean, let's be realistic here, folks. Some of these people have clearly lost their minds. And you know what gets under his skin is because people make comments in the comment section of his lame videos, and they say, hey, man, maybe you ought to take a look at Dr. Elber's information. And then he goes absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't have a bad opinion of his work.
I do.
I wouldn't say anything negative about his work. He talks about what he understands, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Why can't we just do our own thing? You know, I do mine, he does his, and that's fine.
Hey, I mean, you know, it is what it is. Unless I actually see somebody out there severely deceiving everybody, because there are a lot of channels on YouTube that are hyping up, Nibiru and the destruction of the world and end times and cataclysms and apocalypse and, this and that. And they kind of distort images and blah, 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 blah. I've had my go-arounds with a few of these channels because Dr. Elbers and I and Jeff P. and several other channels out there really, really do try to search for the truth. BP Earthwatch is another great YouTube channel. Mr. MBB333. Listen, that man is very educated. He is on top of it. And he has been a watcher and a watchman for a long, long time. If you are not subscribed to his channel, you better get over there and subscribe to it, because he's always coming up with fantastic information. We see what's happened to Dutch Sense on YouTube, okay, and on Facebook, and on Twitter. And he moved over to Twitch, and they still trolled him, and they still made his life a miserable hell, because he understands earthquake activity and seismic activity, and he gives very precise forecasts. And the government agency, the USGS, does not like him. So if you're bringing the truth, you better expect to be slandered, defamed, and trolled. You better have a strong backbone, and you better stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like some people say that they don't like my personality. They don't like my attitude. Well, I'm very sorry about that. But your life hasn't been dragged through the mud. Okay? You haven't been threatened. Your life hasn't been turned upside down in order to bring out the truth. So yes, you have to have a very strong backbone. You cannot have any fear. And you have to continue, or else just stop.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing and go on with your life. But see, Dr. Elbers and I, like many others, we have changed the course of our lives. We no longer live a normal life. I can't turn my back on the people around the world that watch and wait for our information. I just can't do it. And I will not. I refuse. So it is what it is, folks.
Yeah, and Scott, one of the things that has always saddened me is about Chris Potter, because I always wanted to just help him. I mean, that was always my intention. I thought he was a friend, and the fact that he's turned like this, made himself into an enemy, it's really shocking to me and very saddened by it.
The only way to help him.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have a lot of degrees, Dr. Elbers. Do you have a degree in psychiatrics?
No.
Then you can't help him. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to post the still photographs over on the Planet X News Facebook page. I will also put these photographs into an article along with this video. And I'll do that later on tonight whenever the video is done processing from the live stream. And please do me a favor, share Dr. Elber's videos and share the Planet X News videos, share the articles that come out on our Planet X News Facebook page. And, something else I want to mention real quick. Hopefully by Monday, our new MFA Media Group website will be live on the internet. Now, we had to go ahead and open up another YouTube channel specifically for, the new media group. And folks, we are going to be going after the truth factor all around the world. I'm going to be hosting the website and hosting the program. I'm going to be doing articles and videos, and we're going to be looking to bring other truthers out there, whether they're on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or just out there on the internet somewhere. We want to start doing some interviews with them. We want to see what they're researching, what they're investigating. We want to see their findings. There will be up-to-date news articles on our website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As soon as the website is finished, I will let you know. We will hold a live stream about it. And we're going to be opening up our own studio. We're going to be doing live broadcasting from that studio. And we will not be censored. I repeat, we will not be censored. I've been waiting a long time for this opportunity. And the fantastic people at the MFA Media Group have given me the opportunity. And you know me, I am going to take it, and we are going to run with it. Now, it's not going to be Planet X News. Planet X News will stay right here on YouTube. I will continue my research. However, there are so many things going on in the world, folks. Every single day, catastrophes, weather-related, around the world. And as you can see, U.S. politics is absolutely outrageous. There are so many devastating and horrible things happening around the world, and we are going to pick it all apart each and every day. So I'm going to be asking all of you in the very near future, whenever our website is completely finished, I'd like for all of you to start following that website whenever I put the information up. And you could start following our new YouTube channel where we will be conducting live streams from. I will be uploading news videos onto that YouTube channel and our website. And there will be at least 10 to 12 new articles on many different subjects that will be available on our new website. So it's going to be a fantastic endeavor. I'm very, very excited for the opportunity. So, you folks definitely stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this screen here real quick. Dr. Elbers, we put you back on camera there. You have any last words?
Well, this was a very interesting live stream we've had. We've touched a lot of topics. And usually I like to end with saying, I did say that our planet seems to be going through some kind of cataclysmic event. And things are not going to get any better. And I believe that the best option we have is turning to our Creator and seeking His help, getting to know Him, because He's the only one that can help us. And so, I'd like to encourage people to get to know our Creator. Our universe is a very complex universe, but there's such order in it. If you really look at it carefully, you will find evidence that there is a Creator. There has to be a Creator. And He's the one that can help us. So I'd like to encourage people to get to know Him.
Very, 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 very wise words from a very educated and wise woman. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for being with us tonight on our live stream. And, you know, once again, here at Planet X News, I believe we have blown the doors right off of observational evidence, clearly proving once again that, yes, there is an object orbiting our star, orbiting the sun. And folks, we're going to be seeing some very, very intense weather changes here in the United States and also around the world. And if you follow Planet X News on Facebook and my public figure page, you will see all of these updates. Now, there's a lot of information coming out about our jet stream. And I've been studying some material on our jet stream. And as I mentioned a few weeks ago, and I also mentioned last week, that we're going to be seeing these very, very strange anomalies within our jet stream. And we are now seeing that as we speak. Just take a look at the Weather Channel. In the morning when you wake up, turn on the Weather Channel. Watch what they're saying about the jet stream. Watch the diagrams and the graphs and the charts that they're showing. And check out the weather in the central part of the United States. It's getting pretty bad. And over here on the East Coast, we have a little bit of a heat wave coming up. You know, we just had a torrential downpour of rain. The humidity levels were like close to 95% here. No sunshine, you know, complete overcast. But things are going to be getting really, really crazy. I think we're going to have a really, really wild winter. And once again, start looking up information pertaining to what's happening in the North Pole. If you guys want some really good information and you want to learn about what's happening up in the Arctic, go to the search engine on YouTube, right up in the search column, and type in Paul Beckwith, Beckwith. And he is a professor of climatology at the University of Ottawa, Canada. He does fantastic work pretty much daily on what's happening with our weather. And if you want to learn, folks, that's the man to learn from. He is very adamant about what is happening. He has the proof. He has the charts, the graphs, and the scientific information. I watch and I listen to everything that he says. He's a fantastic man, very, very smart. And he gets trolled like hell, too, if you read the comment section. All right, Dr. Elbers, thank you very, very much for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. I'd like to thank our moderator, Don Stowell. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you. Folks, stay safe out there and stay tuned. This is Scott from Planet X News, signing off. Take care, folks.